Happy Tuesday, everybody. The last day of May. I wanted to make sure, if you're catching this live, it's the last day of May. I wanted to make sure that I finished this series that I've been doing in honor of May being Lyme Disease Awareness Month. I wanted to finish it before the end of the month, though. Nothing like the last day. This series, if you haven't been catching it every week, has been a 5-part series chronicling my journey with tick-borne illness, Lyme disease, and other things too. So if you've missed some of the parts, you're going to want to go back and start with part 1. I have blog posts. They're a little bit lagging behind my YouTube videos. You can also catch all the other parts on YouTube. Parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 are up there. And also you can find it in my holistic healing community for Lyme warriors called Limey and Crunchy. I've linked it in the description for you. If you're already in there, you'll find all these videos there too. So I have them all over the place so no one will miss my story. Because I've been asked to share it so many times, I figured it's about time I have it out there in full detail. So today is the last part 5 of this 5-part series. Where my healing has me now. That's what we're going to talk about, the most recent part of my story. Okay. Real quick, if you are catching this on YouTube live or the replay, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any additional content as we move into the next month coming. I've got some really great stuff planned for everyone. And if you really want to get involved and you want to be part of the holistic Lyme healing community I have going, it's a free join right below. Limey and Crunchy is your hookup. We would love to have you there. It's where we do tons of education, advocacy, and community building. We're here for the journey together, right? And it's all about walking through healing as a whole person, holistically, right? Also, along the same note of healing, my disclaimer is I'm not here as a medical professional talking to you about treatment, cures, diagnoses, any of that. I'm talking about my personal experience. And if you find value in that along the way, awesome. Maybe it will inspire your own healing journey, right? So always seek the help of trusted medical professionals when navigating your own healing journey, okay? And when making decisions about your own healing journey. All right, all that to say, where did we leave off last time? Okay, I got to look at my notes because it's been a little while. A week seems like a long time. We left off last time with me talking about the majority of my treatment over the last 10 years and what that looked like and why it took that long and, some of the ups and downs of it. But one of my biggest takeaways from that time period, the last 10 years of my life, has really been the impact that I'm going to call it lifestyle changes in general as an umbrella term. The impact that lifestyle changes has on healing in light of and besides and despite treatment for actual tick-borne illness. So some of the lifestyle changes that I went over in the last video included working on my gut healing, working on my immune system, working on detoxifying and removing toxins from my life in a variety of ways. It involved mindset work and looking at myself as a whole person beyond just the treatment of what was really destroying my health specifically. But it's not just tick-borne illnesses destroying our health, is it? There are other factors at play: emotions, mental health, spiritual health, physical health, obviously, and all the components of that, not just one thing or two things. Honestly, I'm going to say this. It might sound shocking, but I don't always buy the concept that there's a root cause to falling below the wellness line, if you will, to illness and sickness. Yes, I think there are causes. Obviously, tick-borne illness is a cause, but it's rarely ever one root cause that fixes everything. You can have optimal gut health and still be sick, but you can't heal fully without optimal gut health. You can treat Lyme disease and still struggle to find the healing you desire, because it's not always just about treatment. That is a piece. Healing is pieces of a puzzle most often for most people. And that's why it's so individualized, and also why sometimes it can be so hard to navigate healing, right? So that's part of what we discussed in the last video. And I didn't mean to get into all of that right now, but it's really important to me that you understand where I'm coming from in the work that I do and the help and education and advocacy that I provide to the Lyme community and beyond, and why it is beyond just the Lyme community, because healing is beyond just one root cause and everything's magically fixed when you get to that, the bottom of that. I don't want anyone to be fooled thinking that they just have to figure out the one magic bullet to be well, when that's so often not the case for people. I'm not saying never, and often, people might see it as that, but we're complicated humans with layers to our healing. Let's acknowledge that. All right, shall we? All right, so where we're picking up is now my adult years. I'm now in my mid-30s right now. I'll be honest with exactly where I'm at. No shame in my age game, because I'm living some of the healthiest years of my life right now. That's your spoiler alert, I guess. The conclusion is I'm doing really, really well. But what does that look like for me? What exactly does that mean? So I'm still in treatment. That's the first question people want to know. Are you in remission? I guess not technically, but I'm also not splitting hairs about what healing feels like and looks like versus what remission might technically be. And is it even really clear what that is? So what's funny is I feel great. I'm not faking it. You can't fake like healing, really, only to a degree. I'm not faking anything. I feel really good, and I feel the healthiest I've probably been since I was about 11 years old, if you followed my journey. My lab work, which we all know from following this story too, and if you've heard me talk at all about Lyme labs, my lab work for Lyme and co-infections doesn't look so great, specifically for Lyme. All my other co-infections and concurrent infections, because things like Epstein-Barr virus, which I've dealt with, are not technical co-infections, but concurrent infections. They're all under control or well controlled or gone. Babesia, mycoplasma, anaplasmosis. I've talked about all my co-infections and concurrent infections. They're gone or in remission or under control, however you want to look at that. My main area of healing as far as tick-borne illnesses go currently is Lyme disease itself. It's been a little stubborn, and it actually looks worse on paper. It looks worse in my lab work than I feel. I've had a lot of fluctuations with my labs with Lyme, and in fact, that led us to my most current state of affairs, which is in the last year and a half, I've been about a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with Bartonella as well. Finally, I had been negative in the past. I hadn't been super symptomatic necessarily with it. I think I had some crossover symptoms that were attributed to Lyme or other co-infections, or they went away with Lyme treatment, and so I didn't think more about them. But more recently, some of the symptoms had popped back up a little bit, were questionable, and my Lyme provider was like, you know what, let's use a different testing service, a different laboratory service, and look at Bartonella again, because looking at the big picture, Bartonella was still suspect. And while we were investigating some lab work there, I just started treatment right away. And I've been doing Bartonella treatment herbally so far with very good results. I am not going to get into all that here, because I know a bunch of you are going to ask, though, what are you doing for Bartonella? I actually am also chronicling my Bartonella journey on YouTube and my blog, so you can see everything I'm taking for it and exactly what I'm doing for it there. So a year and a half ago, I started treatment for BART, and I started herxing a little bit right away. And that's when I knew, even before the labs were back, that I probably definitely had Bartonella. And that was kind of, I remember kind of being not glad about the diagnosis, but relieved, because it kind of helped to explain why my Lyme disease was being so stubborn with treatment and not really like getting itself into remission the way it should have been, with as aggressive as we had been able to be with it for a few years after I stopped having babies, because having babies was what slowed my treatment down. So my Bartonella and Lyme have been my two factors for treatment lately. I do feel like I'm getting somewhere because I feel good. And we've been able to tackle it herbally right now with success. I know that's not always the case for everybody, and I'm taking it day by day, appointment by appointment, and symptom by symptom, basically. At this point, my main Bartonella symptoms had been burning in the bottoms of my feet. That's still one of my main symptoms. And I also was dealing with some of the mental health stuff that can come with Bartonella, like the extreme anxiety, panic, and rage mood swing type things. That is much better controlled, if not gone. And I don't think I had very many other Bartonella symptoms. Those were my main ones, at least. I maybe had some crossover symptoms with Lyme, but I did not have like the Bartonella rash, which is like stretch mark looking rashes. I don't have any of that. And some of the other, I don't know, Bartonella, you can look up symptoms of Bartonella on Google. There's a whole list of them. That's why I'm not getting into all of it here, but I don't have many of them. So that's what made it a little tricky. But I also attribute my lifestyle to helping me stay minimally symptomatic. And I want to point out another positive of this lifestyle of healing that we've adopted in our household, because it impacts my kids. So a lot of people want to know also about my kids and treating while pregnant and breastfeeding and what happened with your pregnancies and your children's outcome then, right? So I have 4 kiddos. I had 5 pregnancies. We had a miscarriage before my last kid. My 3 oldest children do have Lyme disease and co-infections, but they were not diagnosed at birth. In fact, at birth, we had all of our kids tested in one way, shape, or form. It looked a little different over time. So not all our kids had the same testing done exactly, but in general, we use things like cord blood testing, placenta testing. And there were a couple kids that I also had blood work done within their first year of life to double check. We just wanted to cover our bases the best we could with the infections I carried that could be passed on. I did treat through pregnancy and breastfeeding with all my babies the best I could with, the treatment options available. So, because not everything is safe for pregnancy and breastfeeding, right? So they were all negative at birth, but we live in a high tick area, and all my kids had bites by between age 2 and 5 early in life. They all had tick bites. So in getting them tested, now, like I said, my 4th born, my youngest, he did have a tick bite. I documented it as well. So if you want to see that story, you can head there and read about it and or watch it. But he ended up being, his tick that we sent in for testing ended up being negative for everything, and he's not symptomatic. So he ended up getting a free pass and not having so far any need for further treatment for any reason. My girls are my oldest 3. My oldest 3 are my daughters, and my youngest is a son, by the way. Funny how that works out sometimes. My oldest 3 daughters, after their tick bites, their ticks were all positive for various infections and Lyme disease. So that's why my oldest 3 ended up getting tested and starting treatment for Lyme and co-infections. But in the blood testing that we did do, their CD57 markers were extremely low for all of them. And that is an immune system marker. Basically, you can Google it if you want more details than that. But it being so low demonstrated that their immune systems were very much overwhelmed and overrun with fighting some kind of ongoing infection. there was no other ongoing infection other than the fact that I maybe did pass some amount of tick-borne illness to them that they were able to fight with their little bodies to the degree that they stayed negative and asymptomatic until they were actually bit by ticks, possibly activating Lyme. At least for them, they have some different co-infections than I have, so I know that the tick bites also gave them like some other co-infections that I don't have. But all that to say, I'm really grateful for the lifestyle that we had because we translated the lifestyle I adopted for my healing to our children the minute they were born. We birthed them into a lifestyle of healing, even though they weren't sick or didn't have a reason to be considered sick. And it's not because I considered my kids sick. It's because I wanted them to have optimal wellness, regardless of what they encountered in life, regardless of tick-borne illnesses, regardless of viruses and bacteria in their environments. I knew that a healthy lifestyle was beneficial to them for their whole life, no matter what. So we started them off with optimizing their gut health, optimizing their immune systems, having a non-toxic environment in our home for them, and working on, age-appropriate levels of detoxing from infancy on. So I think very strongly, I believe, there's no way I can prove it scientifically, I guess, but I feel very strongly that lifestyle impact in their young lives is what really gave them an advantage in fighting Lyme and co-infections right from the start. Because like I said, some of my kids were as young as 2 years old when they were first bit. And they were minimally symptomatic. They were like me. Their labs were way worse looking than their symptoms were actually, which I don't always know how to feel about that. I guess it kind of feels a little bit good just knowing that, okay, their bodies are really optimized to fight and to be well, despite clearly the fact that there's crap happening in there from ticks. But we've been able to treat them, again, to the point of dealing with most all of their co-infections and concurrent infections, because some of them had HHV6 and Epstein-Barr virus and other things activated too through the Lyme. But they were doing really well. And again, have remained minimally symptomatic. We've been able to navigate through any symptoms they've had along the way. And it's been a process and a journey. But overall, we are all doing well. The 4 of us in our family of 6 that are in treatment for Lyme and co-infections. Again, crediting the treatment, yes, and crediting the lifestyle we've adopted. That can't be overlooked in my mind. So that is to make sure I'm on track. That is the update on where I'm at dealing with my Lyme and Bartonella still. But I would say I am as healed as I've ever been, like I told you, if not on the cusp of remission is what it feels like. If this, I am barely symptomatic. So if this is as good as it gets, awesome. But also I believe in, the ability to be as healed as I want to be. I believe that I can continue to keep these bugs at bay. And if you want to call it remission, in remission for the rest of my life, based on what I've learned along the way doing this. This level of healing is such a win for me. Even if you're not going to consider it technical remission, fine. I'm so happy to be here now in this healing state now that I never thought was possible 20, 25, 10 years ago. Even 5 years ago, I wasn't this good. I've learned so much along the way. In the last 1 to 5 years, most recently, some other things I've added in to our healing routine as a family, specifically for me, but also my kids do most of this stuff too. Not all of it, but chiropractic work, chiropractic care. We've been doing that regularly now for going on 2 years. but I had dabbled with it prior, off and on, just not consistently. This is the most consistent I've been with that for our family. It has made a huge difference. And I've talked about other alternative therapies I've done in other videos, from this same series about my story too. So this isn't an exhaustive list. This is just most recently what I've added to my mix of holistic healing. I've also added in zytoscanning in the last couple of years. I've talked about it on here before, and in my Lyme and Crunchy group, we talk about it a little bit. And now I am officially released from the program I've been doing to train to be a zytoscanning practitioner myself. This is a biofrequency scan used to hone in on the exact layers and levels of healing our body is asking for. It's not a diagnostic tool, but it's a healing tool for holistic wellness. And so that has been huge for our whole family. I've also added in personally myself tons more mindset work, which I think has made a huge difference in my jump in healing over the last couple of years, despite adding in a Bartonella diagnosis, which we all know can be a worse beast. It can be the worst of tick-borne illnesses to actually deal with and heal from. And yet I am healing kind of more than ever. Mindset work cannot be beat. And that includes also EMDR therapy that I've added in the last couple of years as well. I've done it concurrently with talk therapy as well, surrounding my journey, my healing journey, and other things from my personal life too that need to be worked through and dealt with, sometimes with a specialist. So to bring you up to speed on my healing tools, most recently, those are the recent additions. All right. So that is where I'm at. Here's what I believe my story has shown the world and shows me every day. First and foremost, and maybe most importantly, to some of you at least, healing is possible. Forget splitting hairs about healing versus remission versus like complete eradication of Lyme and tick-borne illness. Healing is possible, period. 2, it may take time, and that's okay. My healing did take time. Maybe more time than it needed to. I don't know, but it is what it is. And all of that time has not been in vain. Number 3, it's not one size fits all. It's a big message I've shared all along the way. Everybody is different and every body is different. And there's power in moving forward and taking the next step, regardless of fear, anxiety, uncertainty, or any roadblock that might be in front of you. There's still value in taking the next step or shuffle or baby step forward. All of this, all 5 parts of my story and all these years of healing have led me to do what I do today, which is to help coach and mentor other Lyme warriors and tick-borne illness warriors in order to save them time, energy, and money that I had to spend to get this level of healing, right? You don't have to figure it out the way I did. You can still get to healing doing it that way. But I couldn't not share what I've learned and offer that as an option for people looking to heal from Lyme. So you will find linked in the description some of the most pertinent things that I have to offer related to this. First and foremost, my free group, Lyme and Crunchy. It's the community of healing that you might be looking for. You will also find in the description of this video 2 links to free guides that I've created to help, including my top tick prevention strategies. And it's when we weren't utilizing these well that my kids did get tick bites. So I know they work. We don't get bit when we're doing them. And I've included the guide to my tick bite action plan, because what happens if you do get a bite? Heaven forbid. I got you covered. So I've got my top tick prevention must-haves and my tick bite action plan for you linked in the description. You can just get them delivered digitally right to your email. It's so simple. You can even print them off and hang them on your refrigerator or in your bathroom or pantry or wherever you need them to be for you. Okay. And I don't only offer the Lyme and Crunch It community. This spring, I actually opened the doors to my Design Your Holistic Lyme Healing Blueprint, which I've also linked below, which is all that I've discussed in my journey and more for the add-ons to healing besides just a treatment plan. They are the healing steps that I have taken, but condensed to save you time, energy, and money implementing them and figuring them out. So if that's for you, I have limited founding member spots left at a 40% discount, never to be seen again. When they're full, it's gone at that price forever. So if that's what you need for your journey next, for your next steps in your journey, hop in to Design Your Holistic Lyme Healing Blueprint. That is the beast that will help you get where you want to get in your healing journey from Lyme. All right, guys, it's been great sharing my story with you. Thanks for bearing with it. I would love to hear your feedback on it. And I would love for you to share it with your friends and family and other Lymies in your life too, so that they can know they're not alone. Cheers to your journeys. Cheers to your healing. And I'm here for you every step of the way. Bye for now.